A lot of men will fumble a Leo woman because they want to reduce her to a cook and a maid. And really, a Leo woman is a powerhouse home CEO.
Tell y'all something about Leo. When they love you out loud. They show up for you, defend you, hype you up, somebody like you the best motherfucking thing walking. And they don't ask for much, just effort, loyalty, and some damn consistency. That's it. But once a Leo starts,
my advice: if you're married and your husband starts to cheat on you, he's a piece of shit. Get out of that marriage.
Didn't you have an affair early on?
Yeah, but I don't think Andy ever knew about that.
Have you had any relationships where you talk about your feelings?
No, and that's probably why I haven't had very many personal relationships with men, for example.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to a Chakras and Cusswords podcast. I am so glad you're here, and if you're new here, I welcome you. If you are a returning cosmic body, I'm so glad you returned. But if you're new, my name is Katherine, and I am the podcast host of Chakras and Cusswords podcast, where we concentrate on everything just a little bit energetic, and that includes astrology. This episode is part of the Astrology series. Now, the Astrology series, you can find the whole shakedown, the whole massive playlist of everything astrology since the beginning that I started this series almost a year ago, more than a year ago. And we dived into the meaning of astrology, the history of astrology, all the planets, and now we're creeping our way up into the zodiacs. And today's zodiac that we are covering is the Leo. And the Leo, I will say, I love watching a good Leo. I love watching a good Leo. A Leo is the energy bitch. And a Leo is not shy. A Leo is the spotlight. Like a Leo who is confident in that role, in that unapologetic fucking main character role. It's like heaven. It's beautiful. It's like the sun energy just beaming down on you and making you fucking feel it, making you see it. The Leo is that roar that takes place. And we will look at all of the Leo's traits, all of the most important parts that really make a Leo. If we were making a Leo from scratch, what ingredients would we use? We do have to remember that Leos come from some area of trauma. So like Leo energy, we feel it when that energy gets magnified by certain planets. So for instance, like a moon in Leo, a Jupiter in Leo, it's really like a lot of movement with that constellation. Also, we'll talk about some of the most famous Leos that are hitting the airwaves, hitting the TV waves, or have us wrapped up in their energy. Because how can you not look at a Leo? How can you not look at somebody who just not owns the spotlight, but demands the spotlight? So some of the associations that come with the Leo is they're known for being proud. Like I would say like a Leo, most Leos. Now I have met a couple Leos in my life, and I would definitely say most Leos that I know have good hair. Okay. Fuck. I wish I had some Leo in me in the hair department because their hair is always on point. It's either big, fluffy, or it's just taking up attention, or they style it quite nice. Like a Leo, like I see a Leo and I'm like, I'm expecting good hair. I'm really expecting some good hair. It's that lion mane in them. You know, it's really there with that Leo energy. Another thing that I would say that I would obviously know with a Leo is Leos tend to be proud. They are a proud bunch. That's kind of like their key word is they're proud. They're proud to get themselves up. I mean, they're just not going to slum around in their pajama pants. You know, they're not just going to slam around in pajama pants and Crocs all day. They're going to get their ass up. They're going to put on some lip gloss. They're going to go to the store. They're really going to show off who they are. They're going to walk into that store with like a fucking purse and some heels, and they're like, bitch, the fucking lioness is here to do some grocery shopping. Like Leos just show up. They really do. They really have this presence about them. And another thing about a Leo is since the Leo is kind of like ruled by the sun, we feel a lot of power with the Leo. So the Leo is very determined, and they are kind of like that center of I will. So one of the favorite phrases that comes from a Leo would be like, I will do that. I can do that. I am going to do that. I'm going to do that right now. So are you ready? Because I'm already doing it. And they have a lot of area of gratitude. I feel like since Leos come from some area of the heart chakra, you know, they have that presence of gratitude. They also have that presence of appreciation and empathy. The color that really speaks about the Leo and really speaks about the energy of the Leo is gold. Definitely, like not just yellow, but like golden, like really like a golden presence. They have this presence about them that feels very golden and shimmery. So of course the metal would be gold. The metal that is representation of the Leo is gold. The stone for the Leo is ruby. That's like when I was talking about the new moon in Leo, I'm like, honey, it's giving red lips, okay? A ruby red dress. It's giving ruby red dress and like golden heels, golden hair, golden hoops. It's giving the area of like really ruby red, like blood red, and like gold. Like I love that combination. To me, that combination screams fucking Leo. It just screams like Leo magic. It just screams like Leo rising, Leo moon, sun in Leo. Feels very decadent, feels very almost like dessert like. It feels very beautiful and royal. And really, that's kind of like how the Leo stands out to me. Parts of the body that the Leo is known to have an energy with is the heart chakra, and also the sensory nerves. So the nervous system. Oh shit. So the sensory of the nerves, right? Another thing that Leos tend to be vulnerable when we are talking about like medical conditions and shit that kind of could get a little fucked up with the Leo is fevers, which is interesting because fevers makes me think of somebody being septic or being very sick, so sick that you can't treat them, right? Maybe they have a viral infection, a bacterial infection. So is it because they are a fire sign and they're so hot that they tend to get overheated? And, you know, I'm going to throw the nurse card because since we're talking about medical conditions, one of the things that has always stood out to me is like when a body is inflamed, right? So a body is inflamed. It's usually inflamed because it's like in some type of healing properties, right? It's trying to like heal itself. It's trying to calm down. So it's usually inflamed if like in a stressful situation occurs. And we see that like with the elevated lactic acid. Now I know I'm getting real medical here for some of you people and you might be like, what the fuck is she talking about? But what happens is the body is so inflamed that this lactic acid goes up. So it makes me wonder, and the lactic acid goes off when like something traumatic happens. So sometimes it could happen like if somebody's having a seizure, if they're very, very sick, the lactic acid goes up. And some people will see signs of a fever, but it makes me think of this in a solar aspect because the sun is very volatile. The sun is very hot. It's very inflamed. So I wonder if Leos are just kind of like a more inflamed bunch because this is occurring in their sun sign. So then when certain illnesses occur or certain viruses or maybe traumatic events occur, they spike a fever because they're already kind of at like this inflammative process. I will tell you something about me being a nurse. I do my own research. So a lot of time people come in and I'm like talking to them and I like look at the birth date. I'm like, oh, they're a Cancer. That explains it. Or, oh, they're a Leo. That explains it. Oh, you just twisted your ankle and you're an Aquarius? That explains it. Oh, you got a bad leg and you're an Aquarius? Oh, okay. You have a lot of anxiety and you're a Gemini? I get it now. So there is definitely some time I do some blind research studies when it comes to astrology and also my nursing practice. So I will say this made me think of that. Are Leos already so inflamed that we start to see it on the other side of the medical spectrum? So very interesting. Also, a thing that also stands out with the Leos are heart attacks. Now, I'm not saying that just because you're a Leo, you're going to have a heart attack, but that's what this book is saying. And this is the astrology book that a lot of people believe is the astrology Bible. It's called The Language of Astrology. And I'm just saying that one of the key things that a lot of astrologers say is that Leos are very vulnerable with the heart. And then we have that energy of the heart chakra. And then we also remember that what occurs during heart attacks. Most of the time, it's because their arteries are like inflamed, or there's some type of pericarditis, so a whole inflammation of the heart, or there's some type of blockage where the vessel cannot get proper blood flow and airflow, and the tissue starts to die, and then they start to have a heart attack. So I'm not saying that, all Leos are going to have heart attacks. I'm just saying that we see this inflammative process that resembles being very high energy, as we see the sun ruling the Leo, also coming out in areas of health and wellness. So it is something to take mind if you are a Leo rising, Leo moon, or you have a large Leo stellium, that you're definitely going to want to include some stress relieving properties where your body isn't so inflamed, okay? It isn't so inflamed. So don't work out like crazy because you're trying to get into a size 2, okay? Take some time to let the body heal, right? Also, the plants. The plants speak a lot of volume. Citrus and palm trees. So citrus and palm trees really resemble high energy. Citrus, its activation a lot of times is connected around the solar plex, just like the Leo. The Leo is a fire element, which resembles the solar plex chakra. We see a lot of times that when we are inviting spirit, when we're also inviting or tantalizing, we're electrifying spirit, or we're electrifying certain aspects of ourselves with lemon and citrus. So it is kind of interesting. And also palm trees. Look at a palm tree for a second. The palm tree's tall, and then, well, for the most part, most palm trees are tall, long trunk, and then they have all these leaves that kind of spew out everywhere, right? The leaves of the palm tree, very vibracious, very high energy. What is it going towards? The sun. So see how like this all kind of mirrors each other and plays quite well. Also for herbs, we have the sunflower, which I absolutely love sunflowers, and also the marigolds and walnut. So very interesting when we are looking at the energies of the Leo. The Leo is also in areas of polarity, a positive sign. So this makes the Leo the yang energy. The yang energy is the masculine energy. It's an active energy. It's assertive. It's warm. It's bright. It resembles the sun. It resembles fire and movement. So remember, yang signs are masculine, which include the air signs and also the fire signs. But we have to remember that it's not necessarily about gender, but rather about energetic qualities and properties. So a lot of time people get it mixed up. They think it has to do with sex. It has to do with the gender. But both yin and yang energies working together in that energy of polarity. And that's something we discuss in the astrology series for those who want to check out that series. So also there is an energy that holds with the Leo quite nicely when we look at their modality. So their modality is fixed. It's the quality of them. So with fixed signs, which I'm not going to get all the way into because we have already talked about this in the astrology series, but fixed signs, we do see that they are very dominant, and fixed signs do have an area of feeling very centered about being steady and sometimes even a little bit stubborn. So that's another thing that really shows with the Leo. And also other fixed signs include the Aquarius and the Taurus and the Scorpio. So another thing that stands out is the element of fire. It also represents the energy of the sun and the energy of feeling confident. The sun is the solar energy, and it is centered around the soul sign, as others would say, the spirit sign. We also see that Leos can have some traits that are a little bit centered around being unbeneficial, or what some might say toxic. And that would be, they could be very egotistical, and they could say things that are very egotistical. So just the other day, I was around a Leo, and this Leo, I will say, she has all the characteristics of being a Leo. It's very interesting because people, they don't understand. I study a lot of them. I do a lot of people watching. So if you're ever in my inner circle or even close to me, you can be about 100% positive. I do study people. I watch people. I watch their patterns. I watch the things they say. And then if it runs resemblance to their zodiac, I kind of have an epiphany, and I'm like, aha, I knew astrology's always been real. So she goes, well, you know, I look the way I look because I work the way I work. You don't see anybody else getting all the gratification like I do because they don't get up and they don't get themselves ready. Now, if you want to play the part, you got to look the part. And I was like, this bitch is right. This is the most Leo-ish shit I've ever heard, right? But it made sense. It coming from her. She basically said, well, the reason why I get all this gratification and love is because, honey, bitch, I look good. Shit. I'm playing the part. I look the part, and the part loves me. I'm the main character, bitch. And to me, I understand exactly where she was coming from. She was coming from the heart center of that Leo soul of hers. And I said, I believe you. I totally believe you, because that is such a Leo thing to say. So that ego can definitely shine high with a Leo. They can also be a little conceited. They can also be where they don't necessarily have that much gratitude towards others. But for the most part, Leos are very generous. They are very loving, that heart chakra, and they have a lot of energy thanks to the sun, and they are very confident. So most Leos are born around July 23rd to August 22nd. Fire element, modality is fixed, steady, determined, ruled by the sun. We see that fucking ego. We see that vitality. And their symbol is the lion. The lion, showing that key aspects. Leos are magnetic. Most Leos have a divine aura about them. It is a presence that not only do you see that energy of the lion, you feel that energy as well. They are confident, or if they aren't confident, they play the part of being confident. For the most part, a Leo can sell you something you didn't even know you wanted. They can sell you a vision like no one else. A Leo, and when I think about a shyster and a scammer who claims to be a Leo, that would be Dr. Umar. He has sold and scammed some of the best scams out there. He stated he was going to build a school for all the young black men out there, and he basically got lots of donations. But he never actually built the school, and there's this whole thing going on TikTok right now about him. And the Leo can scam some people out of just about anything. But let me tell you, I've been actually scammed the worst by a Virgo. So there are a lot of areas of confidence and that solar energy that shines through with the Leo. They're protective, and they definitely have a fierce loyalty to their inner circle, their family, and their inner collective. A Leo will create the drama. They're creative. They will be part of the drama. They will start some of the drama. They'll continue to gossip about some of the drama. They do enjoy art and self-expression. They are big-hearted. And they can be seen as attention hungry. They like to have the last word. They often could be stubborn. So don't think you're going to change a Leo's mind. Good luck. It might take some time. They're very ego driven. So sometimes they might be a little bit confused with self-worth and also external validation. Now, if you are in a relationship with a Leo, I will say, oh man, Leos thrive off passion, admiration, and being chosen. So a Leo loves the attention you are giving them. If they feel unseen, they might turn up the drama and create some antics. They might really show their ass. I mean, a Leo wants you to give them attention. If you're not giving them attention, they might find somebody else who will. But for the most part, they're very loyal and they care about the individual that they are with. Leos definitely go well with other Leos, I would say. Could be like a battle of the egos, but for the most part, Leos get along well with Aries, Sagittarius, Gemini, and Libra. Some of the most challenging matches I could see with a Leo is a Taurus, a Scorpio, and an Aquarius, considering the Aquarius is their opposing sign. But I bet an Aquarius and a Leo together would have some major chemistry, some major sparks, some major deep conversations. The thing is, the Leo would want the conversation to be about themselves. For careers, I definitely could see a Leo acting, being the actress, also being on center stage, if that's singing, performing arts, also entrepreneurship. Leo definitely has that entrepreneurship drive. Like, some people are made to be entrepreneurs, and I could definitely feel like a Leo could be a very good entrepreneur. They also could do well in public speaking. Maybe even a lot of face work where they're showing off their confidence. They also tend to have an area of where they are comfortable with financial situations and they enjoy being around money. Okay, Leos like money. So they like financial comfort, but they also do enjoy spending money on themselves and also their loved ones. So their ego can sometimes get them in a little bit of debt. So if you are a Leo, you need to budget, babe. And I feel like some Leos are very good with money. So I definitely feel that energy of the Leo being like almost like famous and grand. And let's look at some of the most famous Leos out there. We have Madonna. She is a Leo. She's very bold, dramatic, creative, and she is the queen of reinventation. She definitely reinvents herself like no other. And she's very controversial. Especially in her time, a lot of her work, a lot of her songs, music videos were considered very controversial. We also have Jennifer Lopez. Very talented. I will never say that Jennifer Lopez is not a good performer, amazing dancer. Singing, I wouldn't say she's a vocalist. She's definitely not a Whitney Houston, but she definitely is a fierce performer, businesswoman, even though people are saying that her ego has got the best of her and people are just not supporting her like they used to. And her career has kind of took a bit of a dump. But for the most part, she is a very strong businesswoman and she has been very successful in her career.
Are you competitive?
No. I mean, with myself, I am.
Some of your family members say you are.
Competitive?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
You're a Leo, though, right?
Yes.
Are you a true Leo?
Do I think of her?
Yes?
I don't think of her.
So you're a tough cookie?
Sometimes.
Always? Not always. No. Sometimes.
Another vocalist, the queen of vocal skills, is Whitney Houston, another Leo, iconic powerhouse of a voice. Just legendary, beautiful voice, beautiful, talented lady, very much put herself out there. Unfortunately, her life was cut way too short, but she is a Leo. We also have Demi Lovato, who she was seen as a very emotional artist. She had some challenges. She was bold, artsy fartsy, kind of like in that pop culture scene. A little bit before my time, I wasn't ever really like a big Demi Lovato fan, so like I don't know many of her songs or anything. But another Leo that my dad absolutely loves is Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones. He is the lead singer of the Rolling Stones, and he is a pure showman. Like, that guy is so old. He did a lot of drugs, and he still performs like no other, and he always performed like no other. Definitely hitting center stage. What's interesting about some of the Leos when we are talking about music is a lot of these Leos who've been centered around music, I would say definitely have like a very iconic status. I mean, Madonna, Whitney Houston, Mick Jagger. We definitely see that, right? Fully iconic. Yeah, even saying Jennifer Lopez. Shit, just about almost everybody knows who Jennifer Lopez is now. But even with acting, a lot of the actors and actresses. So we have Viola Davis. She has had some heartfelt performances. Charlize Theron gives Leo. She gives Leo. She reminds me of Madonna, Whitney Houston, good hair. They just give that Leo energy. Mick Jagger too. He's got good hair too. Shit. Now, when we're talking about actors, also Sandra Bullock. She definitely has that energy, that charisma, that charm. Jason Momoa, good hair too. Daniel Radcliffe, and it was funny because I was he played, I believe, Harry Potter, right? And he's seen as like a very creative person, I guess. And I was in a astrology chat and everybody was saying, oh, he resembled more of a Virgo than a Leo, but he's got some good hair too. And I mean, he's very confident. He played Harry Potter for a very long time. Also, Halle Berry is a Leo. So definitely some very famous Leos: Meghan Markle, Dua Lipa, Ben Affleck. Let's see, who else? Lisa Kudrow, Terry Crews, Kylie Jenner, and Maya Rudolph. Then we also have Barack Obama, Kobe Bryant, that Mamba mentality, that energy around leadership, and of course Barack Obama, ex-president, former president, definitely a leader. Martha Stewart. How could I forget Martha Stewart? Lucille Ball. Martha Stewart gives Leo level boss bitch energy all the way. Lucille Ball too. Oh my goodness. Lucille Ball, definitely one of the first comedians. That hair again. There we go. The hair again. So definitely Leos are magnetic. They're very confident. Now, when I think of a moon in Leo, I think a moon in Leo feels very more emotionally expressive, very much warm-hearted. Maybe the ego isn't as strong as if it was centered with the sun. They're very more centered around emotions, romantic gestures, and strong attachments. Now, a Leo with Mercury. So Mercury in Leo feels like a very bold communicator. I feel like a Mercury in Leo would be almost like a very dramatic storyteller, very good at speaking. And sometimes they would even be seen as over the top, a little controversial, but they would definitely have that energy of charisma. And they would definitely have that energy that kind of moves quite nice. Now, what's interesting about when Mercury was in Leo is right around August 1991. There was the World Wide Web kind of went public during this time. So it was a big dramatic area of communication opened up with the Mercury in Leo, and how the internet has kind of really shown its face, right? There was definitely other astrological movements that took place, but the internet really kind of took a stance of being that leader of communication. And around that time, we had a Mercury in Leo. We also have Venus in Leo. And Venus in Leo feels very romantic. It feels sexy. It feels very fashionable. It feels very generous in love. It feels very much like centered around the mission of being seductive. It's like big energy, like go big or fucking go home. It's romantic. It's dramatic. It loves dramatic love stories. Like I could see a Venus and Leo having a very dramatic love story. Oh my goodness. Also around the summer 1989, Madonna's Like a Prayer tour started. And that video alone screams to me pure Venus in Leo energy. Controversial, taking the stance, becoming the leader. Also summer 2015, Rihanna dropped Bitch Better Have My Money. Bitch Better Have My Money. And that was unapologetic, and that was right around the time that Venus was in Leo as well. I loved that video. That video screams a lot of essence of the Leo and Venus makeup. Also, we have Mars in Leo. Mars in Leo is very confident. It's competitive. It loves challenges. It's ready to fight. It's ready to take pride. It is very like theatrical. It feels very dramatic. It feels very passionate. During the time that Mars was in Leo, around 1963, there was a big speech that came out, and it was Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. And that speech shows passion, it shows performance, and it shows vision. And Mars in Leo represents that energy of having vision, having movement that takes place. Also, the summer of 2011, Beyonce dropped her fourth album, and it was her album that was all about stage energy. So Beyonce's 4-album era came out, and it was all about the presence of movement. And Beyonce is a Virgo, so. Also, Jupiter in Leo is centered around big visions, dramatic expression, lucky breaks, and also creative fields. The last time that we felt this energy was very explosive. We had huge artistic achievements. We had 2015 and 2014. Taylor Swift's 1989 album dominated. And also Beyonce's surprise, she dropped both kind of dropped 2 albums. So Taylor Swift had her album, and Beyonce also had her album right around this time. So it was a lot of energy. And I believe Taylor Swift is a Sagittarius and Beyonce is a Virgo. I don't have their charts in front of me, but a lot of Jupiter in Leo energy, especially around leadership. And also we see it with feminine, very interesting. Also on 2002 to 2003, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, known as the Bennifer tabloid mania, started with their first relationship right around the time Jupiter was in Leo. We have to remember they are both Leos. Oh God. That relationship did not work out after they got married. They gave it a second round, and recently I think are in the midst of a divorce. Also, Saturn in Leo. So Saturn in Leo is a detriment. For the most part, it is seen as a challenge, okay? Saturn doesn't like to be in Leo, and Leo don't like Saturn being there. It's about learning disciplines in self-expression, ego challenges, and also building the energy of legacy. So sometimes the Leo wants to be free, the Leo wants to be on stage, the Leo wants it all, and Saturn comes and checks in with the energy of responsibilities, requirements, and takeaways. So this time, this could be a very challenging aspect. I will tell you, just because you guys are such faithful listeners, I have a Saturn in Leo, and so does Kanye. And I could definitely say, on my perspective, I do feel sometimes this aspect coming up, and it feels very challenging, especially when it comes to like leadership, and especially when it comes to like learning certain responsibilities and disciplines that have to do with not just ego, but also the energy of leading and continuing to be charismatic without being emotionally centered or fiery, right? And we see with Kanye too. We definitely see he has a lot of mental health problems, but we also see that he had the blueprint of being a musical genius, and I still think that he is very, very talented. But unfortunately, problems of him not addressing his energy of consistency, discipline, and responsibilities got in the way of pure talent. And it's a hard lesson about fame, about the energy of power and pride. And that's kind of like the Saturn in Leo. Also, the last time Saturn was in Leo was right around 2007. And that is when Britney Spears, it's Britney Betch, had her mental public breakdown where she shaved her head, and it was just a hot ass mess for her. And that Leo, ego, Saturn's pressure together just can feel very turbulent. Also, a time that occurred was YouTube was launched in 2005, creating a center stage for everyone to get on and have their own soapbox, to have their own mic, to hit their own center stage. So we see that energy of discipline and responsibilities continuing to shine further. We also have Uranus in Leo, and Uranus in Leo occurred right around 1955 to 1962, where we see that elevation of the revolution, creativity, rebellious nature. We also see that hippie era where people were feeling centered around pride, being different. Also, rock and roll exploded. There was Elvis, the Beatles. It was really seen as like this movement to really create almost like a revolution and a rebellion in everybody's own leader, which is themselves. And also the civil rights gained a lot of momentum in the US around this time. Also, we have Neptune in Leo, and that occurred right around 1914 to 1929 is the last time that we have Neptune in Leo, and that is centered around a lot of movement around Britain and also France stemmed from a war. And that's when they settled peace, was kind of around that time, coming out of a war. And then also we had the glamour that Neptune in Leo brought, the areas of romance and self-image, illusions, the collective fantasy meets theater. And it was also seen as like the golden age of old Hollywood, where Hollywood kind of began the jazz age, like everybody getting all gassed up to go to the jazz show, that flapper culture, that culture around the movement of defining glamour. Like back then it was like very much centered around being glamorous and beautiful. Also, around the last time that we saw Pluto in Leo, I would say if you saw this, you probably haloed. Hezod. If you are around, if you have a Pluto in Leo, please let me know in the comments if you have a Pluto in Leo. But the last time we saw Pluto in Leo, and no offense to the oldies but goodies, was right around 1937-38 to 1958. So we see the energy of creativity, dramatics, generational change. We have to remember Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, generational planets. And also the area of artists as revolutionaries, also the energy of war kind of showing through. We had area of the extreme dehumanization of the Holocaust, and also the energy of the baby boomer generation being born. So, I mean, if you are on the back end of this, you could be listening to this podcast. If you are a baby boomer, please let me know in the comments if you have a Pluto in Leo. I would love to hear that. Also, we see civil rights, having the groundwork of civil rights kind of taking place. Also, the youth culture explosion, right? People getting to know the youth, getting more centered around the youth. I feel like with the baby boomer population, a lot of times it was the youth kept quiet, right? You know, nobody really talked about kids expressing themselves and kids having energies of expression. It was be quiet, be a good kid, and just shut the fuck up. But nowadays, you know, people want to hear from the kids. They want to know how the kids are doing, checking in on the kids. And that shows that Leo energy, the Leo energy of the fifth house. So let's talk about the fifth house real quick. So Leo is basically over the fifth house, right? When we look at the chart, that is the traditional energy, is the Leo. So we see in the fifth house, we get a lot of romance. We also get flings and hookups, right? This house covers areas of affairs, attraction, dating. It could also bring that energy that people may think is passion, lust, and butterflies, but doesn't necessarily turn into a commitment. Now, there's a lot of controversy about should you marry your seventh house placement, right? Let's say your seventh house is Gemini. Would you traditionally marry a Gemini? Not necessarily. That might not be the best move, right? But we see this energy of creativity, also self-expression that comes from the fifth house that resembles the children, fertility, and also that Leo energy. Remember that the Leo energy is kind of childlike in some aspects because the Leo is very much centered off of being confident, and nobody's quite as confident as a child. I mean, for the most part, children will tell you the truth. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's some kids out there lying, but for the most part, you know, they're going to kind of tell you the truth. Also, what's often interesting is fertility readings often check planets that are located in the fifth house. So we see a lot of movement around areas of fertility, also with not just the Cancer, but also with the fifth house as well. And then we can also see that energy of expression. We're not going to get fully intertwined into the fifth house, but that is basically the energy that the Leo rules over, is the fifth. So if you are a Leo, let me know in the comment if you have a Leo stellium, because it is Leo season, and I know you Leos are out there having the best. So leave this little podcast with a like, share, and also rating of 5 stars, because Leo likes 5 stars. They don't like 2, they like 5. And share this podcast with your witchy bestie. And everybody have an amazing day. Bye.